In this video, watch how I turn Walthers Central Distributors into a warehouse for 3M. Hi everyone! I am so excited to announce the beginning of a new series on my channel, Building the 3M Industrial Area. This is the first industry on my layout, and it will definitely be the largest. So why 3M? Why not Cyanomed? Why did you buy all those tank cars? Why are you still talking? I thought this was a kit build video. You're right. So let's get started, and I'll explain why I chose 3M along the way. Before I started, I checked the dimensions of this kit on my layout. If it didn't fit, I'd have to either trim the walls down or buy a smaller kit. The first thing I did was paint the walls. I like to paint the parts before gluing them together, just my preference. These walls were tricky because they had a brick base. I decided to keep the sidings yellow and paint the bricks gray. I used tape to avoid getting gray on the upper part. I wanted the mortar lines to show, so here's my attempt at a black wash. Didn't go so well. Before the paint dried, I wiped it all off and tried again. Still not what I wanted, but good enough. In a tizzy, I texted my good friend Chris, aka Go Veer Go Home, for advice, and he suggested dry brushing white paint over the bricks. I like the results. Thanks, Chris. And as you can see, the tape idea failed miserably. For a more in-depth look at how I build kits, check out my video on my local shed build. When it came time to paint the small office, I taped it down to my painting surface. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of me painting this part, but I used a reddish brown with whitewash for the brick and kept the siding gray. Next, I glued all the bay doors and human doors into place. I chose not to paint these since they were gray, and that's fine with me. I then weathered each wall. Notice how I magically got rid of those paint bleeds? Huh? Pretty clever, eh? Rust, black marks, dirt. This wall has taken a beating, and the vents have some rust marks too. I tried to dirty up well-used areas. After I was satisfied with the weathering job, I glued the 4 walls together and showed my wife like a proud child who just traced their hand on paper for the first time. Look what I did, Ma! So, why 3M? Well, if you've been following my channel for a long time now, you know that my brother and I bought a lot of those old Cyanomed tank cars. The one with the old couplers and not very heavy. Looking back, this might have been a mistake. You see, the original plan was to have a big layout with a big chemical industry where we could line up all of our tank cars and it would look pretty cool. But I moved into a smaller place and that plan changed. Also, Cyanomed is no more. They went defunct in 1994, and I want to try and keep this layout as modern as possible. 3M, very modern. They have a Canadian branch here, and there's also a manufacturing plant, I believe, in Brockville, a nearby city here in Ontario. And the last reason is I have 2 brothers. So you know Mike, the other M in M&M Rails, but I also have a younger brother, Matthew. So growing up, we always got, here come the 3Ms. Yeah, my parents had a sense of humor. Okay, back to the build. One of the walls was made to sit track side, so it had 2 big bay openings for boxcar deliveries. Since I won't be needing these, I covered up one with this homemade parking sign, and the other hole will be covered by the office. Next, I made all the little units found on the roof, air conditioners and such. Because of the size, I decided to make them first, then paint. I taped down each unit and gave them a silvery metal finish. Added some rust spots, and they were good to go. Years ago, I saw this YouTuber use skateboard grip tape for his industrial roofs. It looked like tar, and there was no painting needed. I'll look for the video and put the link down below. So, I went to my local skateboarding store and asked for the grip tape. Before he could ask where I skate, I told him it was for my models. True story. I placed the warehouse roof on the other side of the grip tape and cut out the exact piece I needed. I decided to use the old Band-Aid peel and stick method. I cut half of the paper off and stuck one side at a time. I was warned that this stuff was sticky, and they weren't kidding. Once one side was down, I peeled the rest off and stuck the second half in place. I checked to see if it still fit in place and trimmed any black tape away if needed. I did the same for the office roof. Not too shabby if you ask me. If you have any suggestions on how to weather these, please let me know. Before I show you the final step, I want to give you the backstory to how 3M came to be on my layout. Many years ago, Synomed owned this land. The land stretched from here to way over here. There were lots of tracks, buildings, and fueling systems. But when Synomed closed, 3M bought some of the land and took over the warehouse and some other parts of the chemical industry. Since 3M does deal with chemicals, this was an ideal purchase. What I want to do eventually is have this logo kind of faded and then put a 3M decal over top. So that will show that the 3M actually did buy Synomed and some of its equipment and vehicles. But that's for a later date. Back to the build. I really like the gooseneck light I installed on the local shed. So I bought 4 more and installed them over each bay door. I even purchased some end scale ones to install over the human doors. In total, I installed 7, 1 over the office exit door as well. For more details on how to install these lights from Woodland Scenics, check out my other video, Building the CN Yard, Installing the Light. The lights are not connected yet because I want to make sure I have the building in the correct position first before I start drilling holes and feeding wires. You'll notice I have a custom-made 3M van. More on that in a later video. I am so pleased with how this build turned out. It's a long process, but well worth it. It still needs a few more details, but I'll add those once the building is set in place. I also have a few more kits to add to the 3M empire and some more vehicles to decal and weather. I also want to add a parking lot and more lights. If you ever want to build this kit and I skipped a step, or you have a question about it, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you right away. Before I sign off, I just want to thank you all for the super awesome comments that you left on my last video about the backdrop. They were just absolutely fantastic and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. And thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. Son, one day this will all be yours. Gosh, really, Dad? Yep. It's gonna be in the family for a long time. Honey? Sweetheart? Hey, joke's over. Yeah, point proven. The 3M strips